Whenever you ask the new era of Baton Rouge artists who inspired them to become rappers, 99% of the time the answer will be Lil Boosie. His imprint on hip-hop was trend-setting, and his movement had a major effect on the world. But it was the youth in his own backyard that he made the biggest impression on. When the new era of BR artists surfaced, they all paid homage to Lil Boosie, and some even worked with him. And although it was Lil Boosie that inspired them, it was another Louisiana big dog that created a lane for many of them.
I'm from the block where them niggas coat them chop like.
On November 26, 2010, No Limit Forever Records was established by Master P's son, Romeo Miller. They had began to sign artists and form groups for their new venture, and amongst that talent were several of Baton Rouge's finest, Tech and Maine Musik. In 2015, Master P formed a group called Money Mafia, which started out with 9 members, but for whatever reason, within the same year, the group was reconstructed. 5 members were dropped and 4 new members were added, 2 of which were Baton Rouge's own, Tech and Maine Musik, a rapping duo that was technically never a group, but both got their start in the streets of the state capital.
P just threw me a assist cause he see I be moving them quick.
DeMarcus Davis, better known to the world as Maine Musik, and Delvin Sewell, better known to the world as Tech, have way more in common than we knew. They met in junior high school where they both started rapping and would begin their brotherly bond from that point on. Due to being banned from his school district while in the 8th grade, Maine Musik was forced to drop out and the streets of BR became his teacher. Like most have-not youth, he started hustling as a means of survival, but already had a few years of rapping under his belt, and that's the direction he took. Shooting dice and hustling weed was his poison, but rap was his calling, and after spending 2 years in jail for robbing the dice game, he came home to fulfill his career choice, and through his day one partner, he linked up with No Limit Forever Records.
Maine Musik, Glock 18 loaded through the 4-5.
Tech had already had a prior relationship with Master P and was already on the roster before Maine Musik would join. Tech's background didn't escape the harsh realities of ghetto living and was also caught up in a robbery that landed him 2 years in jail as well. Both artists had suffered the same fate, but were a part of something much bigger than themselves, a new era Baton Rouge hip-hop movement. After their departure from No Limit Forever, the duo combined their talents and experiences, and together they formed their own, the Spider Gang. With social media as their platform, they stood on it as Baton Rouge's elite rappers, and it wasn't just from their hustle, they could really rap.
It's fucked up what me and my mama done been through. Nigga try to pin me in a gray coupe. On the interstate, strapped down, couldn't shoot. I guess the shit was true. When you slipping, that shit was meant for you. But I ain't finna get into no drive snitching. I'm riding with it every day, the 4-5 with me, you can die with it. It's a hot blizzard.
At the start of Baton Rouge's new era movement, there were a couple of other rap organizations that came out the gate at the same time Maine and Tech did. Most notable was the NBA and TBG camps, who at one point was one big conglomerate in their journey to superstardom. They were all a part of Baton Rouge's new hip-hop movement and all had 2 things in common: the top artist slot and beef. The NBA TBG saga made millions of dollars, and in the midst of it all was Tech and Maine Musik. This real-life action drama sold albums, heightened careers, spawned jail sentences, and worst of all, took life.
Baton Rouge the murder capital, man. Everybody needs to straighten up right now.
Ain't nobody fucking with Baton Rouge rappers, period. We'll go up against anybody.
When they first got started, each movement did well and was rapidly growing through streaming sales, constant uploads, and ultimately building their brands. By 2016, the Never Broke Again movement had been stamped and approved as Baton Rouge's newest rap representatives to the world, but the bigger the success got, the bigger the beef grew. TBG, NBA, the Spider Gang, and Scotty Kane were all in a circle of beef that ended in its first chapter with the loss of the real G Money. Each camp was questioned about the murder, but when the smoke cleared, no one was held accountable and they were all released as suspects.
Man, niggas about to get the fuck out my DM talking about I'm next and all that shit. Man, I ain't worried about none of that shit.
On May 26, 2018, G Money's best friend, Fredo Bang, was released from prison and was faced with a major loss as well as a promising career. Many chapters had closed since then, and each artist who were a part of the Baton Rouge feud is now facing life on their own terms. When NBA Youngboy went to jail, the game lost its excitement. What we were viewing as entertainment were his real life experiences, and no matter how crazy it got, the world wanted more. Constant beef, trouble with the law, and consistently having to protect his brand finally took its toll, and Youngboy was back in court facing a 10-year sentence once again. In the end, he was sentenced to 90 days in jail and 14 months of house arrest. He was released from his 90 days in the same fashion as before, a smooth welcoming back into the game. Minutes after his release, he was embraced by loved ones and was already shooting the video to the first single release of his return.
To that bag, we got big chips.
Due to his consistent hustle and strategic movements, the name Fredo Bang have expanded greatly and is one step away from becoming a household name. Fredo's success is partially due to beef, and just a few weeks ago he went online and critiqued the sequel to Master P's classic movie, I Got the Hookup.
That shit bullshit. That shit bullshit.
He voiced his honest opinion about part 2, which got the attention of Master P, but it didn't have the momentum to carry on.
The first shit was good, and I know you had a lower budget than that, you understand me? So don't make all them excuses talking about this black owned, we owning the movies and all that pussy ass shit. That shit garbage.
Master P has set levels in the music biz that reconstructed the internal game, and whether the Bang Man knew it or not, P does have the power to make it difficult for rising artists. But with the lack of attention to the subject, it's no longer relevant in social media.
Hey, I might just pass through the eyes block and a Honda Accord.
One of the most interesting stories of all has got to be Maine Musik's. With all the talent and hustle he possessed, he began to rise rapidly in the ranks, but ended up making his bed with hot nails and had to lay in it.
I just cashed out on an untraceable gun and been up since I got it. I'm back here and shit through the wind again, the enemy plotting.
Instead of becoming a household name in the industry, he became known for something more sinister. Maine and several others were in the same video with military-style guns while making threats to some very important people, which drew the attention of all type of law enforcement. If the threats didn't draw their attention, maybe it was the alleged stolen guns they decided to display in the video.
I don't have to put hits on nobody, but I say some shit in my songs, and I know the enemy caught it.
Maine Musik was later arrested on a routine traffic stop where police found a gun in his possession. He was arrested and placed in Baton Rouge Parish Prison, but after sitting for a few months, he was turned over to the feds where he's currently being held on other charges. He's been locked up for a year and a half now, but remains positive that he'll be coming home soon.
That my little spider, he'll go sit up in jail for me.
The Spider Gang was formed by Tech and Maine Musik after they were both released from No Limit Forever and has repped it for years with big ass spider chains, tattoos, and an entire movement. But somewhere in early 2019, Young Thug and rap artist Gunna took the name as their own and began making moves. With Maine and the feds, Tech decided to call them on it and the tongue wrestling began.
Believe that. I'm gonna show you what that spider shit behind. Bitch, you better be ready to live and die about that.
Stop talking about what you gonna do if you ain't gonna do it, first of all.
Industry versus independent once again, and unless you're that thorough, Big Bank takes Lil Bank every time. But Tech wasn't backing down. Once again, with the lack of attention, the situation fizzled away. With an endless amount of fans and money, there's enough to go around for everybody. With good music and an avenue for people to listen and buy it, there's money to be made. But when you add beef to the mix, it can slow down your hustle.
Them last niggas try diet plain, you'll get chopped. Money my motivation, chasing it with my eyes open.
When you think about it, the Baton Rouge Effect is now a world effect, and although beef will die down, it's never squashed. There's almost no Baton Rouge rappers without beef. But there are those that's strictly about their paper.
A lot of these niggas be hating on gangsters, but I'm presidential, stating them fair.
Kevin Jerome, who goes by the stage name Kevin Gates, is also known as I'm Him, and Lugo Brasi is also from the gutters of BR, but altogether cut from a different cloth. Love it or hate it, Kevin Gates is one of the realest left in rap, and he's relative to every new wave BR artist who's somebody. He's Fredo Bang because you'll never really know what he's done in the streets. He's NBA Youngboy because he's loved and unpredictable. He's Tech and Maine Musik because he's about that life, but most of all, he's him. While most artists are changing with the game, Kevin Gates is always 2 steps ahead.
I play with them words, I play with them birds, yeah, I'm really that.
Brian Carter, better known to the world as Scotty Kane, is another new wave Baton Rouge artist that was caught up in the Baton Rouge feud and would have played a bigger role, but in 2017 he was arrested on drug distribution manufacturing charges.
Our beef ain't the same. Won't play. I don't stop cause I love mine.
Although Scotty Kane was a new age rapper, he was also borderline kingpin, and his charges said it all. He was released 2 years later and was back to one of his main hustles, rap.
Caught a case, nigga told on me, thought you niggas never supposed to change.
Like any other city, once your flag has been planted, you're forever respected in the game for whatever your city is known for. New Orleans, Chicago, Baltimore, New York, and many other cities were all title holders for murder capital of the world at some point. But it's always those with something to prove, and Baton Rouge is just getting started.
I ain't gotta write shit. Get it regardless. I get money regardless. I'm one hell of a allist. I be up in Metairie and LaPlace and New Orleans. I can pay some real hitters to come stalk your apartment. Believe that. Look, but I ain't gonna get on my slim flow, cause that's the shit that I'ma do when they ride for. So I'ma say that for later. I'm just off the brain. Y'all niggas got me fucked up. Y'all can't fuck with Maine.